Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome back. I'm Steve.
And I'm Scott.
And together we're Backyard Musings. We are in Apple Valley, but it's blazing hot. I mean, over 100 degrees, triple digits. And it's in the afternoon, so it'll burn up our laptops. So we're broadcasting remote.
Indoors, yep.
Yeah.
Indoors. And we're talking local science and technology today.
Yeah, this caught my attention because I'm from Michigan and it's about the Great Lakes. And so Michigan is smack in the middle of the Great Lakes. So this is pretty cool. Heat waves and cold spells are occurring more frequently around the Great Lakes, according to research from the University of Michigan. Go Wolverines. These changes have important effects on the region's weather, economy, and ecosystems. Heat waves and cold spells have long been a natural feature of life around the Great Lakes. However, recent research from the University of Michigan reveals that these temperature extremes are now occurring in a fundamentally different pattern compared to just three decades ago. Would you like to know more?
Okay, and we were talking about this just before we started taping, but so Steve's from there. He's familiar with these lakes. I've never been there, but I've heard a lot about it. And you hear about the lake effect snow storms that they have in the winter, freighters and ships sinking in these right. This is like a miniature ocean, like you said. So fascinating.
We've had Revolutionary War battles on these lakes. Lake Champlain, for instance, the British against the U.S. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, quote, the appearance of these extreme temperatures is increasing, according to Hazem Abdel Hadi, a postdoctoral research fellow in the School for Environment and Sustainability, or SEAS, S-E-A-S. Go on with a quote, for most lakes, the appearance is up more than 100% compared with before 1988. So what is that, about 30 years ago? No. Yeah, about 30 years ago. That timing is significant because it coincides with the 1997-1998 El Nino, which is one of the strongest on record, he added. And it's funny, we were just talking about that. 1997, I remember that year it rained and rained and rained here, and we live in the desert, and we just were pounded for days. So, real stuff.
Yeah, I just want to point out, I made a statement and said Civil War or Revolutionary War battles, Lake Champlain. That's New York. That's not the Great Lakes. So I got the two mixed up. Sorry about that.
Correction noted.
To uncover this pattern, Abdel Hadi and his team created an advanced modeling method to track surface temperatures across the Great Lakes. Here we go, modeling from the computer. This approach enabled them to analyze the occurrence of heat waves and cold spells as far back as 1940. Surface water temperature strongly influenced regional weather, a major consideration for people living in the area, as well as for travelers in shipping and operations. However, Abdel Hadi noted that the rising frequency of extreme temperature events could also have less visible but significant impacts on the ecosystems and economic systems that depend on the lakes.
So, I don't know. Does it sound like this guy's a temperature change kind of guy, climate change kind of guy? I don't know.
Well, he's taking empirical data, but you gotta, I guess, be careful of the models. You know, if you get one thing wrong, one variable, and it skews the whole result.
Yeah. According to Abdel Hadi, fish are generally able to adjust to slow shifts in water temperature by moving to more suitable areas, but they may not be able to escape sudden temperature swings. Fish eggs are especially vulnerable to unexpected spikes or drops. Extended periods of heat or cold can interfere with the lake's natural processes of mixing and layering, which are crucial for maintaining water quality and supporting aquatic life. These disruptions can affect ecosystems and the water sources that communities depend on for both drinking and recreation. So speaking of drinking water, how far did you live away from Flint, Michigan?
50 miles. Bay City is 50 miles from Flint.
So no problem with your water?
Nope. We didn't have a problem with the water. So just about the fish, to give you an idea, my dad and I, we'd always fish. All of us would fish on the rivers and stuff that, like the Saginaw River leads into the Saginaw Bay, which is part of Lake Huron. So the perch is common. perch on the river could be about 9 inches, right? You go out to the bay, you can find 24-inch, 2-foot perch. And I mean, it's incredible to see them, and they're good eating too. I mean, it would take 3 9-inch perches to equal a 24-inch as far as meat goes.
Yeah.
So they're really big out there in the lakes.
Perch. Okay.
Delicious too. With the current patterns now identified across all 5 Great Lakes, the research team is working to expand their model to forecast future extreme temperature events. Abdelhadi explained that by exploring how these events relate to larger climate systems like El Niños and La Niñas, we can become better equipped to manage the risks they pose.
The study was conducted through the Cooperative Institute for Great Lakes Research, or CIGLR, or was it Sigler, and published in Communications, Earth, and Environment on May 15, 2025, part of the Nature Journal family. The work was supported by the National Science Foundation, its Global Centers program, and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, NOAA. We've heard of that.
Thank you for those credits, Scott. Yep.
Yeah.
A major challenge in this research was the sheer scale of the system being studied. While computer models exist to simulate the behavior of typical lakes worldwide, the Great Lakes present a unique case. They form a connected system of 5 distinct lakes, hold over 20% of the planet's fresh surface water, and have a combined shoreline that rivals the length of the entire U.S. Atlantic coast, including the Gulf of America.
Okay. In many regards, the Great Lakes have more in common with coastal oceans than with other lakes, says study co-author Ayumi Fugasaki Manomi. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. Who is an associate research scientist with SEAS and Sigler. Quote, "We can't use the traditional, simpler models for the Great Lakes because they really don't do well," according to Fugasaki Manomi.
So just to know, Scott and I were talking about this beforehand. In the Book of Mormon, it talks about the East Sea, the North Sea, and the West Sea. And these are comparable to like the Sea of Galilee. These lakes are so huge that I think the geography in the Book of Mormon was North America rather than South America. And that when the people migrated further north, they were migrating into Canada. And eventually they went down into South America and formed the Aztecs and the Mayas and the Incas. But
well,
yeah,
the plates were found in North America.
They were. So Abdelhadi turned to modeling approaches used to study coastal oceans and tailored them for the Great Lakes. But there was also a data hurdle to overcome in addition to the modeling changes.
Satellites have enabled routine direct observations of the Great Lakes starting about 45 years ago. Fugasaki Manomi said, but when talking about climate trends and epochs, researchers need to work with longer time periods. Okay, so 45 years is not good enough, huh?
Yeah, I guess. By working with available observational data and trusted data from global climate simulations, Abdelhadi could model Great Lakes temperature data and validate it with confidence back to 1940. David Cannon, an assistant research scientist with CIGRL, and Jia Wang, a climatologist and oceanographer with NOAA's Great Lakes Environmental Research Laboratory, also contributed to the study. The study is a perfect example of how collaborations between universities and government science agencies can create a flow of knowledge that benefits the public and the broader research community, Gronewald said.
The team's model is now available for other research groups studying the Great Lakes to explore their questions. For the team at its next steps are using the model to explore spatial differences across smaller areas of the Great Lakes and using the model to look forward in time. Okay. AI, right? Gotta be AI.
It's really freaky when you get on a boat and go out in the lakes and you go so far that you can't see land that you know is behind you. That's really strange. It's really easy to get disoriented if you don't have a compass. Really.
Well, again, they have storms, right? Huge storms that have
Yeah.
taking down cruise ships, right? We all know about the Edmund Fitzgerald. Wasn't that on
Yep.
one of the? That was what lake was that on? I don't remember. Erie. I don't remember.
I don't know.
I don't know, but it was
Yeah.
that was a huge freighter. So
Yeah, these are huge bodies of water. They really are, and need to be respected.
okay, protect those perch.
Okay. Thanks, folks. We'll talk to you later.
Take care, everyone. Thank you.